It is Thursday. That means it is time for Geek Speak. Yes, woo indeed. And so today we are talking about advanced SEO topics, and all kinds of fun stuff to. If you've already done the basics, what can you do to kick up your SEO to the next level?
Ooh, and we're teaching this today in our master class
Yes.
series of how to do SEO and Google Ads. So,
Mm-hmm.
organization of topics is key.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's definitely one where it could be hard to know that once you've done some like basic page, your page titles, your meta descriptions, and like on page, making sure your keywords there. What can you do to actually bump it up and really, what's the next step for you to take? And so there's definitely a lot of options for you. One of the big ones, especially, I kind of touched on it with Greg last week. So there's a couple things that we'll touch on that we did cover last week. And Pip looks frozen.
I do look frozen. What happened?
I believe that we're having issues with the Wi-Fi at that spot. I've had it happen to me before, but that's okay. You're here.
Ooh, I'm
Uh,
here.
and so one of the big ones that you can do if you is a content audit. So figuring out what pages are not performing well, and then starting to get rid of them or reintegrate them into bigger, longer pages. And so that's definitely a really good option for if you've got an existing website.
Takes a lot of work.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not necessarily the most complicated task to do, but it is definitely a hard thing to do. It's a lot of effort that is going to be required to identify a pages, figure out which ones you want to merge together. So it's definitely one that it's not the lowest of hanging fruit I could imagine for you to fix, but it's definitely one that if you've got an existing website or if you've started working with someone and they've got a website that it's been around for more than 2 years, I'm gonna bet that there's some pages they don't need.
Right? Or, well, I mean, isn't it true with SEO? So originally you build your website and then you build content and you build and build and build. And then after a year or so, you need to go back and update your content and continue to build new content. And that's the kind of pinnacle strategy of like doing on-page SEO, right? Continue building and upgrade your content, so to speak, make it longer, more informed, have multimedia, all those beautiful things that make you stay on the page and want to read it,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Um, yeah, and that's definitely one that is, and it's becoming more and more of a of an option for people is to go back and be like, oh, does this is this definitely one that we need to have as a page as well. And so
What's up, Ginga?
Jinja,
Yeah, yeah.
it's Stephanie Hudson who commented that in the group.
Hi, Stephanie. Um, yeah, super fun. The advanced SEO stuff, I must say. Like when you get really deep into it. So I know there's a number of things we do and a number of things we try, but with regards to the audit, we currently use a free audit, don't we?
Yeah,
That we
yeah,
got from Ahrefs.
yeah. It's going to be obsolete by this time next year because it depends on it uses a function that uses the Google Analytics for the data. The old one, the UA. So we're trying to find a new option that's going to be for the new the GA4. But yes, it's definitely uses all free tools. We like that part of it as well, and it's just a way that you can identify which pages have backlinks, which pages have been getting organic traffic, and then it just is a quick identifier of like, oh, does this page even get traffic? We worked with one website where I think 30% of their pages had zero website traffic. So getting rid of those, I was going to immediately speed up their website
And
and
it's
improve
kind of
rankings.
interesting. We build all this content, and then, when you get down to it, lots of it isn't actually utilized or viewed and I'm not saying don't build content. I'm just saying, always good to look at the data to show you how you can improve, because once we build, then we improve. A lot of people, we've been sold a bill of goods with SEO that says if you do it, then you never have to pay ever again to do marketing, or once you do SEO once. And that's nowadays a big juicy lie. because you constantly need to be updating your site. You constantly need to have good marketers on your team, whether outsourced or in, because they will help your business show up. And the hardest problem for every business is getting found, right? That's
Yeah.
the number one problem, because if enough people find you, technically, people will buy things. And the ratio is what, 2% on a website? It should
Yeah,
be.
it works. I mean, both for a click through rate and a conversion rate. You're expected to have 2% of people just find you, and then 2% of people to actually convert. So
Yeah.
the reason why they call it a funnel is because a lot of people are dropping off, and you're not expected to capture everyone. Um,
Hmm.
it's definitely
So,
one I'm going to reuse my analogy that to build off what you said. The analogy I had last week, which is kind of have a gardener. You need someone to keep it and tend to it because it's going to be constantly changing as SEO is. There's more and more updates happening, and different ways of strategically positioning yourself for Google, and because we're all kind of dependent on Google at the end of the day.
and look at what's going on. I mean, in our industry right now. So, as we just said, we have to update our content audit and how we're doing things because we use universal analytics. So, we have to change that. We're also having to change all our conversion tracking, and all the tracking we do to GA4. So, we're always building the boat as we're sailing, which I find
Yes.
really interesting. Okay, so we got a content audit, and what you're doing with that is just finding content you can improve on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
And then,
then And then from there, what you want to be doing is, I touched on this as well, is that you want to be doing internal linking and having it be a keyword rich anchor text. So you want to make sure that you're not just using learn more and then it links to a page. Like you want it to be a distinct bit of text that's in that link or the button. So it's going to
yeah,
be, so like the idea is that you want to make it so that the person clicks on that and they know exactly, oh, I'm going to the page that's going to talk about the
blah, blah, blah.
ultimate guide for learning journaling. And
So,
so,
oh, I get so excited. A
yeah, go ahead.
good thing about this is, how web developers put their URL or a link to their URL at the bottom of a web page. Well, if they actually used anchor text, so like for us, SEO agency, Victoria or Duncan, um, if that linked back to our site, then we have that rich anchor text, which is really important, right?
Yeah,
And so,
exactly. So one of the ones we use is like SEO and website services by Seymour Digital Media. So that if you
yeah.
were to click on that link, you know exactly that I'm going to Seymour Digital Media's website, and they offer services with websites and SEO. And so that it's foolproof that you would. And because Google, honestly, for all their like claims to fame, their crawlers are still not that smart. They're still they need you to spell things out for them because they're going to be having
I was like, oh, I'm on camera all by myself.
yeah, it was I accidentally pressed a button. I don't know which one I pressed, so I'm going to not touch my keyboard.
We're
uh
getting better at this stuff.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I think my favorite part about and doing internal linking and structured linking process with keyword rich text. If you go into Google Search Console and you see how other people are linking to and what texts they're using,
Yeah.
um, it's kind of amusing because you'll see things like we often click here to get to the contact us page, and we have the click here highlighted as hyperlink text instead of the contact us page, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's very common for a lot of people that are, if you go look at the links tab in Google Search Console, you'll see the anchor text that people link to you, and usually it is not descriptive is the best way, the kindest way I could put it. It's usually like the link itself, so it's like seymourdigitalmedia.com. That's the most common one I've seen for us,
Mm,
but it's also like website because it's usually like some sort of NAP listing where it's just like our business name, our address, our phone number, and a link to our website. And so they're usually not very descriptive in that part of it. Yeah, and so that's definitely one you want to be keeping track of it. So you want to make sure that you always have you're not double doing the keywords. And so that's one that it's not complicated. Just a spreadsheet will do. Just have the link, the page that you want to link to, and then the keyword that you want to link, And then that way, like, oh, anytime I have an internal link to this page, I'm going to use this exact keyword string. And so
Yeah.
it's super easy.
I think the thing I've come to know doing SEO is that you have to be organized and you're going to use a lot of spreadsheets.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
the spreadsheets have been definitely the thing that I heard it from. What is it? Coding is for Losers, which is a really good YouTube site for learning a lot of this stuff. And the guy just lives in Google Sheets, and there's
Mm.
no point in reinventing the wheel when a spreadsheet will do.
Yeah,
And so,
spreadsheets are becoming more and more important, I think, and knowing somebody who can configure them uh, can be helpful with Google Ads and SEO for sure.
yeah,
So,
yeah, that's definitely a big one of it. And there's a lot of people who've been putting out content last year about, like, if you do know any like basic coding skills, that they can really show you how to upgrade that, and then really advance your ability to automate away a lot of stupid jobs that you would do.
mm.
Um,
Hold
and
up. I want to backtrack. We've gone through doing, specific content audits to find links. So link building strategies, internal and external, with um, keyword rich text,
yeah.
hyperlinked text, so that, the blue hyperlink you see. And then what are some of the other things that are in advanced SEO that we do for our clients?
So one of the other ones that we've been really getting into that kind of goes with the content audit, once you've done it and you've made this big long, like, you've taken all these disparate blog posts and you've combined them into one big long page, is that you're going to then put a table of contents, and that table of contents is going to have jump links in it.
Ooh, links. This is new for us too, right?
Yeah, and people have been running um, case studies on, like, are these effective, are they not, and it turns out that Google, very much like a sitemap of a page is also going to be super important, because you're telling Google, hey, here's the H2s to expect, and
Mm.
then they know, oh, I'm going to expect the how does each kind of tab, and so they know exactly what to jump to and what to expect on the page. So you're making Google's job easier. Again, we're trying to make it so that Google, it's super readable for A, people, and B, also with the spiders that are actually crawling the
So
pages.
it's like a table of contents at the top of your page or
Yeah.
blog post that'll jump you down to the different sections with a click. So if you just want to read a certain bit, like, what is blah blah blah, or how to implement blah blah blah, you can actually just jump down to the text, because longer form content is better because it's more thorough, but it's also, cumbersome to scroll all the way down the page, right?
Yeah, and especially, like, if you're writing like 3,000 words on a specific topic, but they only want to know about this one facet because that's what they Googled. The other thing that this really helps with is featured snippets,
Mhm.
because if you're asking a question and then answering it right after, you're telling Google, hey, this is where I answered this exact question, and here's the question formulation with the answer right after it. Google's going to be like, oh, great. And then you could get that featured snippet from that one as well. And so, just so people know, it's what you do is you use a CSS ID. So you're just putting a little ID on a section. If you're using the Cadence theme, they actually have an anchor text. It's a little section, and you just write out a little name of where you want to jump to. And then you create just a little partial. So you'll see, like, a little hashtag and then the name of the section.
I am putting an example of the jump links. Is jump links one word? No, two words.
It's, I think, hyphenated. It's
Okay, I can
jump
see that.
hyphen links, I believe.
Good. Jump inks now. Um, so on one of our blog posts, we did it, and I like it. I think it's a more effective way to do a blog. I also like seeing, though, like, how long the blog post is going to take to read as well. Um,
Yeah, exactly. I think that it's a really good. I'm just trying to add this to the broadcast.
oh
Uh,
yeah, okay.
so, so the yeah, you can see here that there. If you go in, you'll see at the table of contents that there's going to be a little hashtag. If you click on any of the links, you'll see it in your browser.
Can we share? We could share. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's try this. Oh, no, I have to open system preferences. I'm not doing that right now.
Yeah. And there's a strong likelihood they're going to make you restart Chrome or something like that.
Let's see. Did it work?
Uh,
How do, oh, I stopped sharing. Okay, so this is what the jump
no, you're
looks look.
sure. Yeah.
Um, so you can see the table of contents at the top of the page. And then if you keep scrolling, right, you can jump right down to other, right? And then you can scroll right up. Too bad you can't jump back up, you know?
No, you can. There's the arrow in the bottom right hand corner.
Oh, yeah. Bam! Ha ha
Yeah.
ha. Isn't that effective? Okay. So that's jump links. Oh, now it's just me.
Don't worry,
There.
I fixed it.
Hello,
Uh,
Dom.
hello. And yeah, so moving along, once you've made the jump links, you've internally linked properly with a nice keyword-rich snippet. The other thing to be doing is start looking at schema. It's going to be a big one that, again, we're saving Google time by telling them about the website, even specific pages. So you can get schema for anything. Like, honestly, there's the amount of stuff. If you just go through schema.org and just try their search function, you can
As
get schema.
as a beginner SEO, I remember learning about schema, and it was one of the places I wanted to get to because you do strive for things, and it did take us a while to get there. Me specifically, a little longer than you, and it can feel really overwhelming to learn schema. However, once you get it, it's great. And how does it help as an advanced tactic in SEO, Phelan?
Well, it's going to help. It helps a lot because pretty much anything involving a featured snippet outside of that question and answer requires you to any sort of special weird things on a SERP. So anytime you see recipes, anytime you see a movie or any of that carousel at the top, that's all done through schema. If you see any job listings, those are done through schema. If you see a person's knowledge panel on the right hand side, say you want to make a change, like say it's about you and you want to make some changes, the best way to do that is through schema. It's not guaranteed with the knowledge panel, but it's the best way to do it is to have
So,
the schema.
so schema is basically something you put into the head code of a website, right? And do you do it using Tag Manager?
No, you do not want to use it doing tag manager, and unless so there is an exception now because there's a thing called server side Google Tag Manager. So if you have that set up, then you can do it there because it renders on the server. But the problem is with Google Tag Manager is that it's JavaScript, so it's got to load the page in order to load that schema. So when the crawlers come through, they're not necessarily going to load that JavaScript because they care about the HTML. They don't care about your fancy JavaScript. They don't care about your fancy CSS. They just want to know what is the actual words on the page. That's usually what they care about.
So
Um,
schema can tell things like business owner's name, type of business,
Yep.
hours.
Hours of operation, address, phone number, what type of departments, what's that department's phone number, who's in charge of that department. You can also do about the person. You could do their credentials. You can do, where they went to school, who they work for, what they founded, a description about them. Like there's all kinds of different aspects. We've even done it for like a tourist trip. So there's like specific trips that you can take and like what to expect. Day one, you go here. Here's a description of day one, day two, and then you could do all those parts.
And this is
Um,
code that you copy and then you put in the head
yeah,
of the website, right?
yeah, and you can even actually put it on the body. That will also work. So say you have an individual page and you don't want it to be on every single page because of the head code. You can actually just put it on the raw HTML of a page, and then because we've done that for like a person, like this individual person is on this page, and so what we did is we went through and we just added it there. And it works, and Google will recognize that part because it's still technically code. They're still loading the page, so they can go, "Oh, there's some schema here." Um,
Mm. And schema, does it make a real difference when you do that to a website? Like, do you see a significant increase in traffic or conversions or?
so we've seen it for a couple of our clients that we did an annotation, and it did greatly improve. But with all things SEO, saying this one individual thing was the thing that improved the traffic overall is so hard to decipher, because all you're doing is you're just adding good stuff and it's all bundling and building on each other. Again, this is advanced, so you still do the basics. Get the basics done first, and
Yeah.
then add this one as an extra little bit on it. I'll add a link to. We found a website that does it's a generator for all the schema markup, and it's really useful to just kind of get started, and just especially if you're just doing a local business or a person, or a how-to, like very basic stuff. Super easy to get started with, and definitely recommend it there.
And Schema helps like the robots that crawl pages understand what the page is about before it has to scan through all the content. Yes?
Yeah, pretty much. The way I've read it from, I think it was John Mueller. Don't quote me on it. I think he was the person who said it, but basically, because someone had asked, like, it does it make a huge impact, and he had said, it's good for them to just kind of know what certain pages are about, and so that way they can add it to their corpus of knowing about the page itself.
Interesting. So, and that's a big one, and that's kind of a technical SEO thing. It's not, um, it's not for the faint of heart.
No, it is. It's definitely one you're gonna need to not get stressed out about looking at like code and being able to just sort of figure out how the code is. It's not like it's a complicated. It's not like it's a function or anything. It's just it's called a JavaScript as notation, meaning it's just like an object, and this object has attributes like name, and then the name is Phelan Lewis, for example, and then the schema type is person. So things like that. It's fairly straightforward.
Aren't there like do Yoast or Rank Math or what's another one? I don't know.
Uh, yeah, so this is a good question, because there are ones that say that they do a really good job with the schema markup, and I found them to be a little lackluster. We've always had a better experience manually inputting that code than using Rank Math or Yoast to be adding in this information. It may be part of their paid tier that they might do this. I don't know. We don't use the paid tier for either of those plugins, but it's definitely one where I found the schema markup, the built-in one, to be very lackluster. So I always recommend doing it by hand.
So after we do the audit and the content audit, and we do, we're updating content with keyword rich content used from, like Google Search Console and research. And now we've done schema. What else can we do for like what else is advanced? I mean, I've seen a lot of things online. A lot of people talk about a lot of different things. So every SEO is going to be a little different, I find, for what they're going to say is advanced.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be ones that are, again, like, once you've done the basics, like, where are you going to go from there? So one of them, we don't do as much, but it's definitely a strategy, because it's just a lot of work, and the cost benefit is just not high enough for us. I did want to touch on one thing just about
Wait,
schema.
what's not, what don't we do?
Oh, I'm going to get to that in 1 second. I just wanted to make
Like
sure that.
a cliffhanger.
Yeah, yeah. If you're an e-commerce company, schema super important for your products.
Mm.
You need
And
that fixed. That
so Shopify does schema out of the box. However, I met a developer that
not
was going
always.
through the Shopify schema and updating it to be more concise.
Yes. Yes. So that's definitely one. You'll see it in Search Console under enhancements and products. So keep an eye out there if there are any issues. Generally, Shopify is really good out of the box. But I just wanted to touch on that, because that's the one group of people that like schema highest of highest priority. That's like, it's almost at the level of basics at this point, that you need to be doing the schema for e-commerce.
E-commerce. Interesting.
But anyway, so the other strategy that we don't do as much, but it's what would I call it? Like, it's like 404 sniping. So basically, you can find, what you do is you find other people
Even
who,
the 404 page.
yeah, your competition who had linked to a blog post links to your competition, and now that link's broken. You have an opportunity to reach out to the website owner and say, "Hey, we noticed that you've got a 404 on this page that's related to this topic. Their page isn't working anymore, but I bet you really like to, connect to our blog post about such and such, and we even have extra points about such and such and such and such. So this gives you it's a lot of work to go through. There are websites that you can input your blogs and then see which pages have 404s and what they are.
Mhm.
There's lots of tools out there. Again, it's such a it's one of the last things on the list, in my opinion, to get done, but it is something that's out there that you can do.
I think the content consolidation is probably one of the biggest things to do.
Yeah.
um, that we're going to see make a huge difference, because having those thin content pages, so pages of content, if you have less than 300 words on a page, it's considered thin content. Now, that being said, do you need 300 words on a contact us page? Maybe not, but maybe you're going to try to keep them on a page. One ranking factor is time on page. So the longer you can get a user to stay on the page and interact with your content, the better. And that's why rich media really helps. So talking to clients about video, or doing, as we change and our online search habits change, we have to, as SEOs, change some of our practices and upgrade them. So, this time next year, if we did this topic again, I'm sure there would be some added things. Like, we haven't talked really about content clusters yet, or pillar posts,
No,
or pillar.
I mean, content clusters are definitely, they're building off of doing the content audit. The other thing I would say, building on what you said, the reason why to focus more on a content audit versus the backlink like the 404 backlink sniping or anything like that, is that the locus of control, you have way more control over your own website than you are waiting for someone to link to you.
Yeah.
So that's always going to be easier for you to fix your own stuff and work on your own content than it is for you to beg someone for a backlink, because they might just not give it to you. And then, it's a lot of effort for zero results. And so that's definitely one where I would not, I would focus on that part of it, because you're just going to have an easier time.
Yeah.
But yeah, content clusters are going to be, when you're doing your content audit, that's a great time for you to look at that, is
Right.
to look at, all of these blog posts were all about this one core topic. And
I'm actually rebuilding, I'm outlining our website now and our services. And so once you get deeper into what you do, you can, build out a frame of like, hey, these are my services. These services relate to these topics, which can be pages. And when I dig into those topics, there'll be blog posts that'll link to the pages, that'll link to the services, right?
yeah,
So there, as an SEO, there's a never ending amount of work to do for sure. Right.
yeah, I've never run into a website where I was like, well, there's nothing to do here. You
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
not, like, we've never audited a website and just gone, well, you're perfect. And like, I just gonna,
Apple is not perfect. There's no website out there that is perfect. Everybody has, they got them problems. We did find a huge fix for speed, though, for ourselves. And we did pay, I think, $50 a year for a plugin, because
yeah,
I was very disheartened that our page speed for mobile and desktop was worse than I wanted it to be. And as an SEO, that's important, right? To kind of
yeah,
live up to your own expectations. And so we changed that, and lickety split our site super fast now. Right? Click of a
yeah,
button.
yeah. It's
Oh,
definitely,
got to go. Got to go.
yes, we do have to leave right on time because we have some people we have
I
to
have a
meet at.
meeting.
Yeah, and so we're probably going to be
A
calling it
day.
here. We're just going to go a minute early, and so we're just going to say thanks again for coming out for this advanced SEO topic. And my name is Phelan.
And I'm Pip. And if you know anything that we didn't mention that you want to talk about, just ping us, in the comments, or, message us on Messenger, send us an email, wherever you find us.
Yeah,
We're,
preferably leave it in the comments of this live so that other
yeah.
people can see your question, or if you have any clarifying questions that you would like.
And if you're visiting us on YouTube or a Facebook business page, we do have a Facebook group called Cyberpunk Geeks Marketing Mixer. It's for marketers and business owners who love marketing. So join us there. Next week, I think we do our market update, and that is talking about everything search, social, and websites that's happening over the last month.
Yeah.
Yay!
Okay.